My name is I'm from the village of Chifornik, Alaska. I'm a Yupik of the Janinagmi tribe. We came down here as invited guests to talk about what was happening with our environment and Mother Earth. And the elders and the leaders of our communities were happy that this was being discussed and that we were going to be able to participate, because we are seeing a lot of the same things that the South American indigenous people were talking about and that they have noted. Our people have already also noted these things, and we're talking about them now. For example, one of the biggest problems that we have going up there right now is the Bering Sea, because of the factory trawlers that are coming in with their massive equipment, wiping out the floor of the ocean, dumping huge amounts of byproducts, waste into the bottom of the sea, which is causing a bacteria to grow. And also, they're also wiping out all the ecosystems at the bottom of the ocean. And we look at it like the South American indigenous people look at it with the forest that they're cutting down and clear cutting. The factory trawlers are doing the same thing. And when we look at these things, we know it's affecting our people, because not only does it affect our people, but also the wildlife and the fish in the ocean. The stellar sea lions are dying off. There's huge amounts of birds dying, and in one place there was such a huge amount of birds dying that for a long time along the edge of the beach there were birds, thousands of birds lined up. So when we start looking at these things, we know that something drastic is happening, and we have to get involved and look at these things and try to correct them. And so one of the main solution that we feel that needs to be worked on is getting together with other people from other parts of North and South America where they're seeing the same things. Because what we've noted in our history is that when one group of indigenous people talk about their problems, nobody listens. But when many indigenous people are saying the same things, expressing the same concerns, bringing up the same problems, then people begin to listen. Because we have this process that we feel has been going on for a long time. These things aren't just happening now, but they started 500 years ago, when Europeans came from across the ocean, and also in our situation, people from Russia came over. And so it is not a new problem for us. It began a long time ago. And the way that we understand it now and can tie it in with our way of recording history is through the prophecies. These things were prophesied to happen many, many years ago, even before the first ship from Europe left and the first ship from Russia left to come to Turtle Island. These things began. But it is because the amount of damage and the continuing perpetuation of those damages that we're feeling the effects now. My area, my village, the Janinagmi area, has only about 50 years of outside contact and only about 29 years of change. But in those years, the factories that were blowing smoke into the air were polluting our air, and the forests that were being cut was cutting down on our oxygen, and the amount of sunlight that was hitting our areas started melting down icebergs and ice caps. but because of the lack of technology that we had and the recording of those incidents, we didn't see those for a long time. At least the scientists didn't see those. But our elders started talking about those things happening many years ago. They started taking note about what they were seeing, and they were trying to talk to the scientific world and to the government and even to our own people about these things. But nobody listened, because we didn't have what is considered a hard data to give to somebody, something that had things written in them, words written in, and graphs showing different things. You know, because of that, nobody listened. But we've been telling the world and the people around the world about these things. But because of the tie that people have with economics and caste economy system, they didn't listen. And it's only now, because of the amount of damage that's occurring, and also because of other people getting involved, that we're finally getting people to listen. So with this gathering of information from North and South America, the people getting together and sharing this information with the rest of the world, they're finding solutions for these things. And so our people realizing that our information and data and the historical knowledge and perspectives, which our people call nudimlak, which is the inherent indigenous knowledge, meaning that this knowledge has been passed on over and over for our benefit, so that when we look at things, we can look at them in more clear perspective than if we only used a short amount of time of information to look at the problem. Because when you look at the solutions for these problems, you can't have that short range perspective. You have to have had that long history of perspective, of seeing things, so that when you create that solution, it's a lasting solution, not a temporary fix. And so a lot of people say, well, how can anybody say that when indigenous people's knowledge and history and everything is not written? Well, what has happened throughout the years, our indigenous people have done something that is very accurate. In fact, sometimes more comprehensive and more accurate than the written words is the oral tradition. We have developed an oral tradition that is so accurate that when you say these things of our history, the words come out in the order that they have been coming out for thousands of years. So in that way, we have an accurate record of these things. And the other part is that we know that is helpful to us and to the world is the prophecies of our people. The coming of the Western and the Eastern, and coming to Alaska together, not just from the East, but from the East and West, was prophesied. So we knew that we were going to have these visitors that were going to come to our land, bringing new things and different ideas and philosophies. But the prophecies that I want to talk more in detail are the prophecies of what was going to happen to our people. The first prophecy is the Great Famine, and our people experienced in 1920-21 Great Famine. We had 2 bad winters, and the ground was covered with ice. The caribou were starving. We couldn't go to our fishing spring fishing grounds or fall fishing grounds, because the ice was always there, and we couldn't fish through that ice. And then after that, the second prophecy was that we'd experience great death, and the great death came in the form of smallpox, diphtheria, and measles. And it followed right after the Great Famine. So when those three diseases hit our people who were weak, and then the devastation from the Great Death was followed by a prophecy that we would live a great life, that our people would live a great life. And what it was the government and the religions coming in, telling us about this new wonderful way of life, that our people were going to benefit and become better human beings. But because of the education that was brought in, and because of the religions that were brought in, and because the way the governments were structured, our people began to lose their language, we began to lose our land, we began to lose our ceremonies, we began to lose our connection to Mother Earth, we began to lose the connection with the spirits. And so when our people went through those things, it caused a great damage to what our ancestors had built for thousands of years. And they had perfected these things so that our people would be very healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually.